Ambassador stood at the window of her shuttle and looked at the planet below. It was her first time visiting The planet was gray and brown, with dark clouds covering most of its surface. It did not look welcoming, but had seen worse places during her 20 years as a diplomat. "We will land in 10 minutes, Ambassador," said her pilot, a young man named. Nodded and adjusted her formal uniform. The dark blue fabric had the symbol of the United Terran Coalition on her chest. She had worn this uniform to dozens of planets, always bringing peace and friendship. Today would be no different. At least, that was what she believed. They were not an easy species to deal with. They were tall creatures, almost 3 meters in height, with gray skin and 4 arms. Their faces were flat, with small eyes that seemed to show no emotion. They had been at war with their neighbors for centuries. When humanity first made contact with them 5 years ago, they had shown little interest in friendship. But things had changed. A new leader had risen among them. His name was, and he had sent a message to Earth asking for peace talks. The Terran Council was surprised but hopeful. They chose for this important mission because she was the best diplomat humanity had. The shuttle entered the atmosphere, and the ship began to shake, held onto her seat and watched as the gray clouds surrounded them. After a few minutes, they broke through the clouds and saw the capital city below. It was a massive place, with tall buildings made of black metal. There were no trees or parks. Everything looked cold and hard. Thousands have walked on the streets below, going about their daily lives. "Landing zone is ahead," announced. "There is a welcoming party waiting for us." Looked and saw a platform with a group of standing in formation. There were soldiers in armor and what appeared to be government officials in long robes. She took a deep breath and prepared herself. The shuttle landed smoothly, stood up and walked to the door. Behind her, her small team followed. There was her assistant, a smart woman who knew 6 alien languages. There was also her security officer Minu, a former soldier who now protected diplomats. He was not allowed to carry weapons on this mission. The had demanded that all humans come unarmed as a sign of trust. Minu had argued against this but had agreed to the terms. Peace was more important than her safety. That was what she believed. The door opened and warm air filled the shuttle, stepped out onto the platform and looked at the waiting for her. One of them stepped forward. He was wearing golden robes, which meant he was someone important. "Welcome to Prime Ambassador," the alien said. His voice was deep and rough. "I am Minister Grawl. I will take you to meet High Commander." Bowed her head slightly, a sign of respect. "Thank you, Minister Grawl. I am honored to be here. Humanity hopes that this meeting will be the beginning of a new friendship between our people." Grawl did not respond to her words. He simply turned and began walking, and her team followed. They walked through the streets of the capital. Citizens stopped and stared at them. Most of them had never seen humans before, smiled at them, trying to look friendly, but they did not smile back. Their faces remained empty. "They do not like us," whispered two. "They do not know us yet," replied. "That is why we are here, to help them understand that we are not their enemies." They arrived at a massive building in the center of the city. It was the tallest structure had seen, reaching up into the gray clouds above. Armed guards stood at every entrance. Minister Grawl led them inside. The interior was just as cold as the outside. There were no decorations on the walls, no art, no color. Everything was functional and nothing more. They walked through long hallways until they reached a large door. "High Commander is waiting inside," Grawl said. "Only the ambassador may enter." Minu stepped forward. "I cannot let her go alone. I am her security officer." "You will wait here," Grawl said firmly. "Those are the rules." Placed her hand on Minu's arm. "It is fine. I will be safe." "Ambassador," Minu said with worry in his voice. "Trust me," said. She smiled at him and then walked through the door. The room inside was enormous. At the far end, sitting on a raised platform, was High Commander. He was larger than the other, with scars covering his gray skin. He had fought many battles in his life. Now he sat on his throne and watched approach. "Ambassador," said, his voice echoed through the empty room. "You have come alone as I requested. This shows courage." "Or foolishness," replied with a small smile. "But I believe that peace requires trust. I am here to show you that humanity wants to be your friend." Leaned forward. "Friend. That is a word my people do not use often. We have survived by being strong, not by making friends." "Perhaps that can change," said. "The galaxy is large. There is room for cooperation instead of conflict." For a moment was silent. He studied with his small eyes. Then he spoke again. "Some of my people do not want peace. They believe humans are weak. They think we should crush your species now before you become a threat." Kept her expression calm. "And what do you believe, High Commander?" Before could answer, a door on the side of the room burst open. A group of soldiers rushed in, their weapons raised. They were not the guards from before. These soldiers wore different armor with a red symbol on their chests. Jumped to his feet. "What is this?" he demanded. One of the soldiers stepped forward. "High Commander, you have betrayed our people by inviting these humans here. Do not negotiate with aliens. We destroy them." "Stand down immediately," shouted. "I am your commander." "Not anymore," the soldier said. Before could move, two soldiers grabbed him and held him back. The leader of the group turned his attention to. "Human," he said, "you should not have come here." His heart was beating fast, but she kept her voice steady. "I am a diplomat. I have protection under galactic law. You cannot harm me." The soldier laughed. It was a cold, ugly sound. "Galactic law means nothing to us. We make our own laws." Outside the room, Minu heard the commotion. He tried to open the door, but it was locked. He pounded on it with his fists. "Ambassador, ambassador." Was already trying to contact the shuttle. "We have an emergency. The ambassador is in danger." Inside the room, the soldier grabbed his arm and pulled her toward the center of the floor. A camera drone floated nearby, recording everything. "Today, the galaxy will see what happens to those who think they can come to our world," the soldier announced. "Today, humanity will learn fear." Struggled, but was too strong. She looked at who was being held back by guards. There was something in his eyes. Was it regret? Shame? She could not tell. "Please," said, "this will only bring war. Your people will suffer." The soldier leaned close to her face. "Let them come. We will destroy them too." He raised his weapon. In her final moment, did not beg. She did not cry. She stood straight and looked directly at the camera. "Humanity will remember this," she said quietly, "and humanity never forgets." The soldier fired. Ambassador fell to the ground. The room was silent except for the hum of the camera drone, still recording. Closed his eyes. He knew what would come next. He had seen humans fight before, in small skirmishes at the edge of space. They were not the weak creatures that his people believed them to be. The soldier who had killed turned to his followers. "Send this recording to every corner of the galaxy. Let them see what happens to those who come to space uninvited." The video was uploaded to the galactic network. Within minutes, it was spreading from system to system. Within hours, it reached Earth. Admiral was in his office when his assistant burst through the door. The young officer's face was pale. "Sir, you need to see this," he said. Turned to his screen and pressed play. He watched in silence as Ambassador, a woman he had known for 15 years, was executed by soldiers. When the video ended, he did not move for a long time. "Sir," his assistant asked carefully. His hand was shaking, not from fear, from anger, pure, cold anger. "Contact the fleet command," he said. His voice was steady, but there was something dangerous in it. "Contact every ship we have. Contact the council." "What should I tell them, sir?" Stood up and looked out his window at the stars. "Tell them that humanity is going to war." Across Earth, people watched the video. In homes, in offices, in schools. They saw their diplomat murdered in cold blood. They saw the laugh. And something changed in humanity that day. The fear they might have felt was replaced by something else, something harder, something older. The thought they had shown the galaxy that they were strong. They were wrong. They had just made the biggest mistake in their history. And they would soon learn that when you hurt one human, you face all of humanity. The stars were about to burn. The emergency session of the Terran Council began at midnight. Every seat in the Great Chamber was filled. Representatives from every nation on Earth sat in silence, their faces showing the same expression: grief, anger, determination. Admiral stood at the center of the room. He was 60 years old, with gray hair and a face that had seen many battles. He had served humanity for 40 years. He had fought pirates, defended colonies, and kept the peace across dozens of star systems. But he had never felt like this before. The video of Ambassador's execution played on the large screen behind him. When it ended, no one spoke. The silence was heavy. Finally, the president of the council, an elderly woman named Director, stood up. "We have all seen what happened," she said. Her voice was calm, but her hands were tight on the podium. Ambassador was murdered while on a peace mission. She was unarmed. She was protected by galactic law, and they killed her anyway. Murmurs spread through the room. Someone shouted, "We should burn their world." Director raised her hand for silence. "Before we decide anything, we need information. Commander, please present your report." A woman in a military uniform walked to the front of the room. Commander was the head of Terran intelligence. She was young for her position, only 42 years old, but she was brilliant. She knew more about alien species than almost anyone else in humanity. "Thank you," Director said. She pressed a button, and images appeared on the screen. "What you are seeing is everything we know about the Dominion." The screen showed maps, numbers, and pictures of ships and soldiers. "The control 37 star systems," explained. "They have a population of approximately 12 billion. Their military consists of 800 warships and an army of 50 million soldiers." Some of the council members shifted nervously. Those were large numbers. "However," continued, "our analysis shows several weaknesses. First, technology is outdated. Their ships are powerful but slow. Their weapons are strong but not accurate. Second, their military leadership is divided. The group that killed Ambassador is called the Red Blade. They are extremists who oppose High Commander. Our intelligence suggests that a civil conflict may be brewing within their own government." "Does that change what we should do?" someone asked. "No," replied firmly. "Whether they are united or divided, they murdered our diplomat. They showed no respect for peace or law. If we do not respond, every species in the galaxy will think they can do the same thing to us." Director nodded slowly. "What are our options?" Admiral stepped forward. "We have 3 choices. First, we can demand an apology and the arrest of those responsible. This is the diplomatic option." "Will they agree?" a council member asked. "No," said bluntly. "The do not apologize. They see it as weakness. If we ask for an apology, they will laugh at us." "What is the second option?" "Economic sanctions. We can convince other species to stop trading with the. This would hurt their economy over time." "How long would it take to work?" "Years, maybe decades. And in that time, they would continue to believe they can hurt us without consequences." The room was quiet. Everyone knew what the third option was. Director asked the question anyway, "And the third option?" Looked around the room, meeting the eyes of every council member. "War," he said simply, "total war. We go to space with everything we have. We destroy their military. We remove their ability to ever threaten humanity again." A young council member raised his hand. "Admiral, how many people would die in such a war?" Did not hesitate. "On our side, thousands, possibly tens of thousands, on their side, millions. The young man's face went pale. Millions, is that not too much? They killed Ambassador in front of the entire galaxy, replied. They did it to show that humanity is weak. If we do nothing, or if we respond with weak measures, every hostile species in the galaxy will see us as prey. We will face attacks on our colonies, our ships, our people. The deaths from those future conflicts would be far greater than the deaths in this war. Commander added, there is another factor to consider. Other alien species are watching us right now. They want to see how humanity responds to this insult. If we show strength, they will respect us. If we show weakness, they will fear us less. Director sat down heavily. She was old and she had spent her life working for peace. The idea of starting a war made her heart ache, but she also remembered they had been friends for many years, had believed in peace more than anyone. And they had killed her for it. We will vote, Director announced. All those in favor of declaring war on the Dominion, raise your hand. One by one, hands went up around the room. Some raised their hands quickly with anger in their eyes. Others raised them slowly with sadness on their faces, but they all raised them. When the count was finished, the result was unanimous. Every single member of the Terran Council had voted for war. Director stood again. The vote is complete. By the authority of the Terran Council, humanity is now at war with the Dominion. Admiral, you have full command of all military forces. May God help us all. Saluted, I will not let humanity down. He turned and walked out of the chamber. His mind was already working on battle plans. But first, there was something else he needed to do. He went to the communication center, a large room filled with screens and equipment. Technicians worked at their stations, preparing for what was coming. Is the broadcast system ready? Asked. A young technician nodded. Yes, Admiral. We can send a message to every receiver in the galaxy. Every ship, every station, every planet will hear you. Good, start recording. The technician pressed a button. A red light came on, showing that the camera was active. Admiral stood straight and looked directly at the camera. When he spoke, his voice was calm and clear. My name is Admiral Park of the United Terran Coalition. This message is for every species in the galaxy, but especially for the Dominion. 3 days ago, Ambassador traveled to your world in peace. She carried no weapons. She meant no harm. She came only to talk, to find a way for our peoples to live together without conflict. You murdered her. You executed her in front of cameras and sent the video across the galaxy. You laughed as she died. You thought this would make the galaxy fear you. You thought this would make humanity weak. You were wrong. Humanity does not forget. Humanity does not forgive. And humanity does not abandon its people. To the soldiers who killed Ambassador, we are coming for you. To the leaders who allowed this to happen, we are coming for you. To every who thinks that murdering a diplomat is strength, we are coming for you. This is not a threat, this is a promise. To the other species of the galaxy, I want to be clear. Humanity has no desire for conquest. We do not want your worlds or your resources. We only want to live in peace. But if anyone harms our people, we will respond. This is not cruelty. This is justice. To High Commander, I know you tried to stop what happened. I know you wanted peace. But your people made their choice. Now they will face the consequences. You do not touch our people. You do not hurt our people. You do not kill our people. They wanted to teach the galaxy a lesson. Instead, they will learn one. We are humanity, and we are coming. The red light turned off. The recording was complete. The technician looked at with wide eyes. Sir, that was intense. Send it, ordered. Within an hour, the message was traveling across the galaxy. It reached trading stations and military outposts. It reached peaceful worlds and war zones. It reached the Dominion. On Prime, the leaders of the Red Blade watched the human admiral's message. Some of them laughed. "The humans think they can scare us," one of them said. "They are soft creatures, they will break easily." But others were not so confident. They had studied humanity more carefully. They knew that humans had a dark side, a capacity for violence that they usually kept hidden. High Commander was brought to watch the message as a prisoner. When it ended, his guards expected him to look afraid. Instead, he looked almost relieved. "You fools," he said quietly. "You have no idea what you have done." "Be quiet, traitor," one of the guards snapped. But continued, "I studied the humans. I read their history. Do you know what they are capable of? Do you know what they have done to each other in their wars?" The Red Blade commander stepped closer. "They are weak. They talk about peace and friendship. They are not warriors like us." Laughed bitterly. "That is their greatest trick. They make you think they are kind and gentle, and they can be when they want to be. But when you threaten them, when you hurt their families, their friends, their people, something changes in them. Something dark wakes up." "We are not afraid of darkness." "You should be," said. "Because when humans go to war, they do not stop until their enemy is completely destroyed. They do not accept surrender easily. They do not show mercy to those who have wronged them. You killed their ambassador, and now they will not stop until every one of you is dead." The Red Blade commander hit across the face. "Enough, take him back to his cell." As the guards dragged him away, called out one last warning. "Prepare your defenses, prepare your fleets. It will not be enough. Nothing you do will be enough." But the Red Blade did not listen. They were confident in their strength. They had 800 warships and 50 million soldiers. What could the humans possibly do against that? They would soon find out. Across human space, the military was mobilizing. Ships that had been in repair were being rushed back to service. Soldiers on leave were being called back to duty. Factories that made civilian goods were being converted to produce weapons and ammunition. Admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Terran carrier Indomitable. Around him, officers worked at their stations, coordinating the largest military operation in human history. Captain, his second in command, approached with a tablet in his hand. "Admiral, the fleet is assembling faster than expected. We will be ready to move in 5 days." "Make it 3, replied. "Sir, that is very fast. Some ships may not be fully prepared." "They killed in front of the galaxy. Every day we wait, our enemies think we are weak. 3 days, Captain, no more." Nodded, "Yes, Admiral." Looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there they were waiting. They thought they were ready for war. They had no idea what was coming. Humanity had tried peace. Humanity had offered friendship. And humanity had been answered with murder. Now humanity would answer back. And the galaxy would never forget what happened when you made enemies of the human race. The ships were gathering, the soldiers were ready, the guns were loaded. War was coming to space. And it would be unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The colony of was a mining world on the outer edge of space. It was not a beautiful place. The surface was covered with factories and drilling machines. Smoke rose from hundreds of chimneys. 50,000 workers lived there, digging metals from the ground and sending them back to the colony had a small defense fleet. 20 warships patrolled the space around the planet. The commander of the fleet was an old named. He had served in the military for 60 years. He was tired and ready to retire, but the Red Blade had ordered all officers to remain at their posts. "Anything on sensors?" asked his crew. "Nothing, Commander," an officer replied. "Space is quiet." Nodded and leaned back in his chair. He did not believe the humans would actually come. They were a peaceful species. They would send angry messages and demand apologies, but they would not fight. That was what the Red Blade had told everyone. Was not sure he believed them, but he was too old to argue. "Commander," an officer suddenly shouted, multiple contacts appearing on sensors. Sat up straight. What, how many? The officer's face went pale. Sir, I am counting over 200 ships. They are human vessels. That is impossible. Let me see. The main screen flickered and showed the sensor data. Hearts nearly stopped. There were 247 human warships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Carriers, battleships, cruisers, destroyers. The Terran fleet spread out in perfect formation, surrounding the defense fleet from all sides. By the ancestors, whispered, sound the alarm, all ships to battle stations. But even as he gave the order, he knew it was hopeless. 20 ships against 240. They did not have a chance. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Admiral watched the fleet scramble to respond. They are powering their weapons, an officer reported. Expected, said calmly. Captain, you have command of the assault. Make it quick and clean. I want minimal civilian casualties. Captain nodded. He was a serious man in his 40s, with a reputation for being one of the best tactical officers in the fleet. Understood, Admiral. All ships, this is Captain. Weapons free on military targets only. I repeat, military targets only. Any ship that fires on civilians will answer to me personally. The Terran fleet moved forward like a wave of steel and fire. Commander watched them come. His hands were shaking, but he kept his voice steady. All ships open fire, he ordered. The defense fleet launched their weapons. Missiles and energy beams flew toward the human ships. Some of them hit. A Terran cruiser took damage to its hull. A destroyer lost its shields. But the humans did not stop. They did not even slow down. The Terran response was devastating. His voice was calm as he gave commands. Carrier groups Alpha and Beta launch fighters. Battleship divisions focus fire on the enemy cruisers. Destroyers sweep the flanks. The space around erupted in light and fire. Human fighters poured from the carriers like angry insects. They were small and fast, able to dodge the slow weapons. They attacked in groups, hitting the same targets over and over until shields failed and hulls broke apart. The battleships fired their main guns. Each shot contained enough energy to level a city. When they hit a ship, the ship simply disappeared in a ball of flame. Within 10 minutes, half of the defense fleet was destroyed. Commander watched his ships die one by one. The main screen showed nothing but explosions and debris. Commander, we should retreat, his first officer said. We cannot win this fight. Shook his head slowly. There is nowhere to retreat to. They have surrounded us. Then what do we do? Before could answer, a human voice came through the communication system. Vessels, this is Captain of the Terran fleet. Your fleet has been defeated. You have two options. You can surrender and be treated as prisoners of war according to Galactic Convention, or you can continue fighting and die. The choice is yours. You have 5 minutes to decide. The bridge was silent, looked at his crew. They were young, most of them. They had families back on They had joined the military for good jobs, not to die in a hopeless battle. Commander, his first officer asked quietly. Closed his eyes. The Red Blade had said that surrender was the ultimate disgrace, that any who surrendered should be executed. But the Red Blade was not here. They were safe on far from the fire and death. Open a channel to the human ship, said. Commander, the Red Blade. I do not care about the Red Blade. I care about my crew. Open the channel. The channel opened, spoke in a tired voice. Human Captain, this is Commander. I am ordering my remaining ships to power down their weapons. We surrender. There was a pause, then his voice came back. Commander, your surrender is accepted. Keep your ship stationary. Any hostile action will be met with immediate destruction. We will send boarding teams shortly. Slumped in his chair, his career was over. The Red Blade would call him a traitor and a coward, but his crew was alive. That was what mattered. On the Indomitable, nodded with approval. "Captain, well done. What are our losses?" "Light damage to 7 ships. No ships lost. 12 wounded, no deaths." "And the enemy?" 14 ships destroyed. 6 ships surrendered. Approximately 4,000 casualties. Felt no pleasure at the number. He had not wanted this war, but the had started it and humanity would finish it. "Begin landing operations," he ordered. "Secure the colony. Treat the civilians with respect. We are soldiers, not murderers." The human forces landed on within the hour. Soldiers in armored suits spread through the mining complexes, securing important locations and rounding up military personnel. The civilians did not resist. They had expected the humans to come with fire and rage. They expected to be killed or tortured. Instead, the human soldiers were professional and calm. They did not hurt anyone who did not fight back. They even brought food and medical supplies for those who needed them. A young worker named watched the human soldiers pass through her district. She was holding her child close to her chest, terrified of what would happen. A human soldier noticed her fear. He stopped and removed his helmet, showing his face. He was young, with dark hair and kind eyes. "Do not be afraid," he said in broken language. "We are not here to hurt civilians, only military." Stared at him. You are not going to kill us." The soldier shook his head. "Number war is with your government, not your people. You are safe." He reached into his pack and pulled out a small package. He offered it to his child. "Food for little one." The child looked at the package curiously, hesitated, then slowly took it. "Thank you," she whispered. The soldier nodded and put his helmet back on. He rejoined his squad and continued down the street. Watched him go. This was not what she had been told about humans. The Red Blade had said that humans were monsters who would destroy everything, but this soldier had been kind. He had cared about her child. Maybe everything the Red Blade said was wrong. The news spread quickly through the galaxy. Everyone had expected the humans to fight, but no one had expected them to win so easily. The defense fleet had been destroyed in minutes. The colony had been captured in hours. And the humans had shown mercy to civilians. Other alien species watched carefully. They had seen the video of Ambassador's murder. They had seen Admiral's declaration of war. Now they saw the human military in action. The peaceful species that had been bullied by them for centuries sent a message to Earth. "We support your cause. If you need supplies or medical aid, we will provide it." The fierce warriors who respected strength sent their own message. "The humans fight well. We are interested in seeing how this war develops." Even species that had no contact with either humans or paid attention. This was a significant moment in galactic history. A new player was showing its power. But the war was just beginning. Admiral met with his commanders on the Indomitable. "Was only the first step," he said. "They have 37 systems. We cannot take them all at once. We need to strike strategic targets and force them to spread their forces thin." Commander pointed at a star map. "These 5 systems are their primary military bases. If we hit them hard and fast, we can cripple their ability to coordinate a defense." "What about their main fleet?" asked. "Intelligence says they have over 700 ships." "They are gathering near the," replied. "They expect us to go straight for Prime. Instead, we will take away their outer defenses first. By the time they realize what we are doing, they will have nothing left except their home system." Nodded. "We move in 3 days. I want all ships fully supplied and all crews rested. This will be a long campaign." The commanders saluted and left to prepare. Stayed behind, staring at the star map. Somewhere on Prime, the people who had killed were sleeping peacefully, thinking they were safe. They were wrong. The news reached Prime 2 days later. The Red Blade leaders could not believe it. "One colony lost," the leader, a warrior named, demanded. "How is this possible?" "The humans attacked with overwhelming force," a military advisor explained. 240 ships against 20. Commander surrendered after losing most of his fleet. Surrendered? Voice was full of disgust. He surrendered to humans, execute his family, let everyone know the price of cowardice. Sir, there is more. The humans did not kill the civilians. They are treating prisoners according to galactic law. They are even providing food and medical care. Frown, this was confusing. Enemies were supposed to be cruel and violent. That was how you justified destroying them. But humans were showing mercy. It is a trick, decided. They want to make us look bad. It will not work. Send our main fleet to defend the core systems. Let the humans come. When they face our full strength, they will break. But as the days passed, more bad news arrived. The humans hit another colony, then another, then a military base. Each time the story was the same. Fast attacks, overwhelming force, quick victories. And always the humans showed restraint toward civilians. The citizens began to whisper. Maybe the Red Blade had been wrong. Maybe killing that human ambassador had been a mistake. On the front lines, Captain led his forces from victory to victory. He was becoming famous across the fleet. His soldiers called him the Quiet Storm because he never raised his voice, but his tactics were devastating. After taking the fourth colony, received a message from Admiral. Captain, you have done excellent work. The enemy is in disarray. In 2 weeks we move to Phase 2, the Siege of Prime. Read the message and nodded. The head wanted war. Now they would learn what that truly meant. The hung in space like a gray jewel surrounded by warships. 300 vessels formed a defensive ring around their planet. It was everything they had left. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon had been pulled back to defend their home. Admiral looked at the planet through the viewport of the Indomitable. The final battle was about to begin. How many ships do we have? He asked. 412, Admiral, Commander replied. We lost 18 ships in the campaign so far, but reinforcements have arrived from Earth. And our ground forces. Lieutenant reports that 150,000 soldiers are ready for landing operations. Nodded slowly. This would be the bloodiest day of the war. They would not surrender there easily. They would fight to the last. Send a message to the fleet, ordered. The communication officer nodded and opened a channel. Dominion, this is Admiral Park of the United Terran Coalition. Your outer colonies have fallen. Your military bases are in our hands. You are surrounded. I offer you one final chance to end this war without more death. Surrender now, hand over those responsible for the murder of Ambassador, and we will show mercy. The response came quickly. It was from himself, the leader of the Red Blade. Human Admiral, you have fought well. I admit this. But do not surrender. We will die before we let aliens take our, come and face us. We will show you what true warriors are made of. The channel closed. Sighed, he had expected this answer, but he had hoped for something different. Too many would die today. All ships, he announced, battle stations. We begin the assault in 30 minutes. The Terran fleet spread into attack formation. Carriers moved to the rear, launching hundreds of fighters. Battleships powered up their main weapons. Cruisers and destroyers prepared for close combat. On the other side, the fleet waited. Their ships were older and slower, but there were many of them, and they were fighting for their homes. The 30 minutes passed in tense silence. Then Admiral gave the order. All ships advance. The space between the two fleets erupted in violence. Missiles flew in all directions. Energy beams cut through the darkness. Ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Captain commanded the left flank, leading a group of cruisers into the formation. His ships worked together perfectly, covering each other's weaknesses and focusing their fire on enemy vessels one at a time. Target the ship on bearing 73, ordered, full barrage. 6 cruisers fired at once. The battleship's shields held for a moment, then collapsed. The ship broke apart, its pieces spinning into the void. But they fought back hard. Their weapons were powerful, and they were not afraid to die. A Terran destroyer took a direct hit and lost power. A cruiser was rammed by a ship in a suicide attack. The battle raged for 3 hours. Ships fell on both sides. Bodies floated in the wreckage. The stars themselves seemed to dim under the smoke and fire. Slowly, the Terran fleet pushed forward. Their coordination and technology gave them an edge. They fought with courage, but courage was not enough against superior tactics. By the 4th hour, half of the fleet was destroyed. Watched the battle from his command ship in orbit around the planet. His face was grim. The humans were winning. No matter how bravely his warriors fought, they could not stop the enemy advance. "Sir, we must retreat to the surface," an advisor said. "We can continue the fight on the ground and abandon our ships, our crews. If we stay here, we die. If we go to the surface, we can fight longer." Hated the idea, but he was not ready to die, not yet. "Order all remaining ships to provide cover fire. All commanders and essential personnel will evacuate to the surface. We will make our stand on the ground." The remaining ships launched a desperate attack, buying time for shuttles to escape to the planet below. Many of those ships were destroyed. Their crews sacrificed themselves so that their leaders could survive. When the battle in space finally ended, the Terran fleet was victorious. Over 200 ships had been destroyed. The humans had lost 47. But the war was not over. Admiral and officer reported many enemy personnel escaped to the surface, including the Red Blade leadership. Nodded grimly. "Then we go down after them. Lieutenant, prepare your forces for landing." Lieutenant was waiting in the landing bay of the carrier Resolute. She was 35 years old, with short black hair and sharp eyes. She had been a soldier for 15 years, but this would be her biggest mission ever. Around her, thousands of soldiers checked their weapons and armor, were lined up and ready. The atmosphere was tense but focused. "Listen up," called out to her troops. "This is it. The enemy has retreated to the surface, but they are not defeated. They will fight hard. They know their backs are against the wall." The soldiers listened in silence. "Our mission is to capture the capital city and arrest the Red Blade leadership. Remember what Admiral said. We are soldiers, not murderers. Civilians are not our enemy. We take prisoners when possible. We treat everyone with respect." A young soldier raised his hand. "Lieutenant, what if they do not surrender?" "Then we do what soldiers do. We fight, but we do not enjoy it. We do not become the monsters they think we are." She looked at every face in the room. Young men and women from Earth, ready to risk their lives for justice. "Ambassador died because she believed in peace," continued. "We fight this war so that no one else has to die like she did. We fight so that the galaxy knows humanity will protect its people. But we also fight to show that humanity is not cruel. We are strong, yes, but we are also fair." The soldiers nodded. "Now get to your ships. We drop in 10 minutes." They launched from the carriers and fell toward the planet like metal rain. Anti-air fire rose from the surface, trying to stop them. Some ships were hit, some crashed, but most of them made it through. Ship landed hard on the outskirts of the capital city. The door opened, and she led her squad into the gray streets. The city was chaos. Soldiers had set up barricades and defensive positions. They fired at the human forces with everything they had. "Cover, cover," shouted, pushing her squad behind a collapsed building. Bullets and energy blasts flew over their heads. The noise was deafening. "We need to clear that barricade," said, pointing at a position ahead. "Private, use the launcher." A young soldier named pulled a weapon from his back. He aimed carefully and fired. The projectile flew straight and true, hitting the barricade and exploding. The soldiers behind it were thrown back. "Move, move, move." The squad rushed forward, taking the position. 2 soldiers were still alive, wounded but conscious. Approached them carefully. "Drop your weapons," she ordered in the language. One of them spat at her. "We would rather die than surrender to humans." "That is your choice," replied calmly. "But know this. If you surrender, you will be treated fairly. You will be fed. Your wounds will be healed. When the war is over, you will go home. If you fight, you will die here. Your families will never see you again." The 2 soldiers looked at each other. One of them slowly put down his weapon. The other hesitated, then did the same. "Secure them," ordered. "Treat their wounds." Her squad moved quickly, binding the prisoners and applying medical care. "Why are you helping us?" one of the prisoners asked, confused. "We are your enemies." Looked at him. "You are soldiers following orders just like us. The real enemies are the ones who started this war. We will find them." The battle for the capital lasted 3 days. Street by street, building by building, the human forces pushed forward. They fought hard, but they were running out of soldiers and ammunition. On the morning of the 4th day, squad reached the central government building. It was a massive fortress of black metal, surrounded by the last of the Red Blade's defenders. "This is where they are hiding," said to her team, "and the other leaders are inside." "How do we get in?" asked. "That building is heavily defended." Before could answer, her radio crackled. "Lieutenant, this is Admiral. We have received a communication from inside the building. High Commander wants to talk." "I thought he was a prisoner." "He was. It seems some things have changed. He says he can help end this without more bloodshed. Will you meet with him?" Thought for a moment. It could be a trap, but if there was a chance to save lives, she had to try. "I will meet him where?" "The front entrance, alone." Nodded to her team. "Wait here. If anything goes wrong, finish the mission." She walked toward the building with her hands visible. At the entrance, a door opened and stepped out. He looked tired and beaten, with bruises on his face, but he stood straight. "Human soldier," said, "I am High Commander. I believe we share a common goal." "And what is that?" "To end this war. The Red Blade took power from me because I wanted peace. They murdered your ambassador against my wishes. Now they are destroying my people with this hopeless fight. I want to stop them." "How?" "I have supporters inside. Soldiers who are loyal to me, not the Red Blade. If you give me time, I can take control from within, and the others will be captured. No more fighting, no more death." Studied his face. He looked sincere, but trust was difficult. "Why should I believe you?" Sighed. "Because I tried to stop this from the beginning. Your ambassador was kind to me. She believed in peace. I did not want her to die. If I had been faster, stronger, maybe I could have saved her. I failed, but I can still save my people and yours." Thought about it, then she made her decision. "You have 2 hours. If the doors do not open by then, we come in shooting." Nodded. 2 hours, that is enough. He turned and walked back inside. Returned to her squad and waited. The 2 hours passed slowly. Every minute felt like an hour. Then, exactly on time, the doors of the government building opened wide. Soldiers walked out with their hands up. Behind them, more soldiers came, these ones wearing different uniforms, loyalists. And in the center, bound in chains, were the leaders of the Red Blade. Appeared at the door. He looked exhausted but satisfied. "It is done," he called out. "The Red Blade is finished. I am surrendering my people to human custody. This war is over." Stepped forward and looked at the leader who had ordered execution, the one who had laughed as she died. He was not laughing now. Said, "You are under arrest for the murder of ambassador and crimes against peace. You will face justice." Said nothing. His eyes were empty. He had thought they were invincible. He had been wrong about everything. Contacted the Admiral. "Sir, the capital is secured. The Red Blade leadership is in custody. High Commander has surrendered." His voice came back, heavy with relief. "Well done, Lieutenant, well done." The guns fell silent over Prime. The war was over. But the final chapter was yet to be written. The Galactic Assembly gathered on the neutral world of. It was a place where all species could meet safely, protected by ancient treaties that no one dared to break. Representatives from over 200 civilizations sat in the Great Hall, a massive dome of crystal and light floating above an endless ocean. Today was different from other meetings. Today, the assembly was full. Every seat was taken. Every species had sent their most important leaders. They had all come to see the same thing. The humans had arrived. Admiral walked into the Great Hall. He was not wearing his military uniform. Instead, he wore simple civilian clothes, dark blue with the symbol of Earth on his chest. He was not here as a warrior. He was here as a representative of his people. Behind him walked High Commander, now the recognized leader of the. He had been allowed to keep his position after the war, on the condition that he sign a peace treaty with humanity. He had agreed without hesitation. The two of them walked to the center of the hall. The representatives watched in silence. The Speaker of the Assembly, a tall crystalline being from a species called the, spoke first. "This emergency session of the Galactic Assembly is now in order. We are here to discuss the recent war between the United Terran Coalition and the Dominion. Admiral Park of Earth, you may address the Assembly." Stepped forward. He looked around the hall at the hundreds of alien faces watching him. Some looked curious, some looked afraid, some looked angry. He took a deep breath and began. "Representatives of the galaxy, I thank you for allowing me to speak today. I know that many of you have questions. You want to know why humanity went to war. You want to know why we responded with such force. You want to know what this means for the future." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Let me start with a story. 43 days ago, a woman named left Earth on a mission of peace. She was a diplomat. She had spent 20 years of her life traveling between worlds, talking to different species, solving problems without violence. She believed that the galaxy was big enough for everyone. She believed that friendship was stronger than fear." His voice grew softer. "Went to Prime because their leader asked for peace talks. She went unarmed, as they requested. She went alone into a room full of enemies because she trusted them to honor diplomatic tradition, and they killed her." He looked directly at the delegation, sat there with his head down. "They murdered her on camera and sent the video across the galaxy. They laughed. They thought this would make the galaxy fear them. They thought this would make humanity weak." His voice grew stronger. "They were wrong." Murmurs spread through the assembly, raised his hand for silence. "Humanity did not want this war. We came to the stars looking for friends, not enemies. We built colonies, established trade routes, helped those who needed help. We sent diplomats to every corner of the galaxy because we believed in peace." He pointed at the empty seat, where the old delegation used to sit before the war. "But there are those who see kindness as weakness. There are those who think that because we prefer peace, we cannot make war. There are those who believe they can hurt us without consequences." He shook his head slowly. "Let me be very clear about something. Humanity will always try peace first. We will always offer friendship before conflict. We will always look for ways to solve problems without violence. That is who we are." His voice dropped to something colder. "But if you hurt our people, everything changes. If you kill our diplomats, our merchants, our colonists, our children, we will not forgive. We will not forget. We will not stop until those responsible are brought to justice." The assembly was completely silent. They had 800 warships. They had 50 million soldiers. They controlled 37 star systems. They were one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy, and we destroyed them in 40 days. He let that fact hang in the air. "We did not do this because we enjoyed it. We did not do this because we wanted their worlds or their resources. We did this because a woman named went to their planet in peace, and they killed her for it. Turn to face different parts of the assembly. To those who have been our friends, thank you. We will not forget your support. To those who have been neutral, we ask for nothing except fairness. Judge us by our actions, not by rumors or fears. He paused. And to those who might be thinking about making enemies of humanity, I have a message for you. His eyes were hard. We are not monsters. We do not enjoy war. We do not seek conquest. In this war, we treated civilians with respect. We provided food and medicine. We took prisoners and cared for them. We did not burn cities or destroy farms. We fought their military, not their people. He took a step forward. But make no mistake, if you force us to fight, we will fight. And we will win. Not because we are stronger or have better weapons, but because when humanity is united, when we fight for something we believe in, nothing in the galaxy can stop us. He looked at High Commander, do you have something to say? Stood slowly. He looked old and tired, but his voice was steady. Representatives of the galaxy, I was there when Ambassador was murdered. I tried to stop it and failed. I watched as the red blade brought destruction upon my people. Everything the human admiral says is true. We attacked them. They responded. The fault is ours. He looked at the assembly. The humans could have destroyed us completely. They could have bombed our cities and killed our families. They could have wiped our species from existence, but they did not. They showed mercy that we did not deserve. When the war ended, they did not take our worlds. They did not steal our resources. They simply asked for peace and justice. His voice cracked slightly. I watched my people surrender. I watched human soldiers give food to our children. I watched human doctors treat our wounded. And I realized something. The humans are not our enemies. They never were. We made them into enemies through our own stupidity and cruelty. He turned to Admiral, on behalf of the people, I apologize for the murder of Ambassador. I apologize for the war. I promise that they will never again raise weapons against humanity. We have learned our lesson. Nodded. Your apology is accepted, High Commander. The war is over. Let us move forward in peace. The two leaders shook hands. The assembly erupted in surprised murmurs. Many had expected the humans to demand harsh punishment. Instead, they accepted an apology and offered friendship. The Speaker of the Assembly called for order. Admiral, the Assembly has one more question. What does humanity want from the galaxy going forward? Thought for a moment before answering. We want what we have always wanted: trade, friendship, cooperation. We want to explore the stars together. We want to solve problems together. We want to build a galaxy where every species can live in peace. He smiled slightly. We do not want to be feared. We want to be trusted. We want other species to know that if they come to Earth in friendship, they will be welcomed. If they need help, we will help them. If they want to trade, we will trade fairly. His smile faded. But we also want the galaxy to understand one simple thing. You do not touch our people. You do not harm our diplomats. You do not threaten our colonies. This is not a threat. It is simply a fact. Humanity protects its own. He looked around the assembly one final time. Ambassador believed that peace was possible. She died for that belief. I hope that her death was not in vain. I hope that every species in this assembly learned something from this war. He bowed his head. That is all I have to say. Thank you for listening. Step back. The assembly was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, someone began to clap. It was the representative, the species that had been bullied by them for centuries. Others joined in. Soon, the entire assembly was applauding. The war was over. The lesson was taught. Humanity had shown the galaxy two things that day. First, that they were capable of terrible destruction when provoked. Second, that they were capable of great mercy when the fighting stopped. Both lessons would be remembered for a very long time. After the assembly ended, returned to his ship. He was tired. The past 40 days had been the hardest of his life. He had sent thousands of young men and women into battle. Some of them had not come back. Commander met him in the corridor. "Admiral, you did well today. The speech was perfect." Shook his head. "There is no perfect in war, Commander, only different kinds of terrible." He walked to his quarters and closed the door. On his desk was a photograph. It showed him standing next to at a diplomatic ceremony 15 years ago. They had been friends for a long time. He picked up the photograph and looked at her face. She was smiling. "I wish you could have seen this," he said quietly. "The war is over. The people who killed you will face justice, and the galaxy learned not to underestimate us." He set the photograph down. "I hope wherever you are at peace. I hope you know that your death meant something. I hope you know that we did not forget you." He looked out the window at the stars. "Rest now, we will take it from here." The Terran fleet departed from the next day. They would return home as heroes. Parades and celebrations waited for them, but the soldiers themselves did not feel like celebrating. They had done what they needed to do, nothing more. The galaxy continued to turn. Trade routes opened again. Diplomats traveled between worlds. Life went on. But something had changed. Every species knew it. A new power had risen among the stars. Humanity had arrived, and they were not to be taken lightly. They were kind when possible. They were merciful when they could be. But when someone threatened them, they became something else entirely. They had learned this the hard way. Others would not make the same mistake. On Earth, a memorial was built for Ambassador. It was a simple statue of her looking up at the stars, with a plaque that read, "She believed in peace. She died for peace. May we always honor her memory by seeking peace first. But when peace is rejected, may we have the strength to protect our own." People came from all over Earth to visit the memorial. They left flowers and candles. They stood in silence and remembered. Was gone, but her dream lived on. Humanity would continue to reach out to the stars. They would continue to offer friendship. They would continue to hope for a better future. But they would also remember the lesson of the war. Peace was precious. Peace was worth fighting for. And sometimes the only way to get peace was to show your enemies that war was far, far worse. The galaxy understood now. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was simply patient. And patience was far more dangerous than rage.